Assalamu alaikum learners, how are you? I hope you are fine and safe at your homes. I am Rahila, your history and geography teacher. Class 8, unit number 2, it's your 10th lecture. Learners, open your book, page number 15. This is unit number 2. The topic is Muslim Renaissance, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, 1817 to 98. Now we start reading. Shah Waliullah had started a movement in the 18th century to stop the political and moral decline of the Muslims. Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Brelvi had tried to liberate the Muslims of the Punjab by fighting the Sikhs, and Haji Sharahatullah in Bengal led a movement against the exploitation of Muslims by Zamindar. It was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's efforts in the 19th century that led the way for the reformation and progress of the Muslims through rebirth of learning and education. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Syed Ahmad Khan was born in 1817 in Delhi in a family that had been in the service of the Mughal emperors. His father was a Sufi with the mystic. Mystic means one who tries to reach God through meditation approach to life. His mother was a more practical person who took interest in her son's education and brought him up to be a good human being with the sound knowledge of his religion, Islam. By the time Sayyid Ahmad reached his teenage years, the British had taken over the subcontinent as the ruling power. On his father's death in 1838, he entered service with the East India Company as a junior clerk under an English judge, Mr. Robert Hamilton. Syed Ahmad Khan studied British law and passed the examination with merit. He soon rose to be a junior judge in 1841. By 1855, he was promoted to the rank of Sadr Amin, the highest rank an Indian could reach in the judicial service of the British. Sir Syed's books and writings. During his 33 years of loyal service to the British government, Sir Syed took on the job of self-education. He read histories of the British Empire and started to write books on the history of the Muslims in Hindustan. His most famous ones are Asar al-Sandeed 1847, a description and evolution of the historical monument of Delhi, and Silsilatul Mulk, a chronology. Chronology means the order in which a series of events take place of the kings, emperors, and monarchs of India from ancient times up to Queen Victoria. His other great interest was religion, on which he also wrote many essays. Sir Syed inherited religious devotions from his father and later came under the influence of Shah Abdulaziz and Syed Ahmad Shahid Brelvi. He was opposed to Muslims wasting time and energy over aimless rituals and superstitions. Sir Syed was greatly impressed by the advances in technology and progress achieved by the European powers, particularly the British. He travelled widely and saw for himself the immense material progress that the European nations had achieved. This brought about a radical change in his thinking and views on life. He wanted the Muslims of India to progress in their social and economic lives. Learners, in figure 2.1, you can see the picture of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Learners, now turn page number 16. The topic is the War of 1857 and Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. The War of Independence in 1857 further confirmed Syed Ahmad Khan's views that the Muslims had lost their economic, social, and religious standing in the subcontinent. They had refused the education offered by the British and had receded. Receded means withdraw or moved back into the background. He wished to bring the Muslims out of their backwardness to join the fast changing world that the West symbolized. Symbolized means represented or marked an idea. The Hindus had embraced the language of their new rulers, English, and had gained economically through jobs in the British government. The flight of the Muslims was expressed by Mr. William Hunter in his book The Indian Mussalman, in which he highlighted the Muslim communities' educational and economic backwardness under British rule. Sir Syed wished to change all that, and his slogan for the Muslims became education, education, and education. The Muslims and British come closer. Sir Syed wished to change the attitude of the British rulers towards the Muslims, who were mostly blamed for the 1857 war. He wrote a pamphlet, The Causes of the Indian Revolt, pointing out to the British that the Muslims should not be blamed entirely for the revolt. A substantial mean considerable amount or extent. Amount of the blame had to taken by the rulers themselves, whose policies had aggravated means made worse the situation. It was brave of Sir Syed to do this as he was a government officer, but he sent copies of the pamphlet to the members of parliament in England. Next, he wrote The Loyal Mohammedans of India in 1860, relating stories of those Muslims who had helped save British lives in the 1857 war and who had loyal served the British rulers. Till 1872, Muslims were the enemy in the eyes of the British, but in 1888, the Viceroy Lord Ripon remarked that the Muslims had descended from those who formerly occupied a commanding position in India and who were exceptionally able to understand the responsibility attached to those who rule. Sir Syed also wrote a commentary on the Bible, pointing out the similarities between Islam and Christianity to remove Muslims' reservations. Reservations mean doubts, unwillingness about working closely with their British rulers. Secondly, Sir Syed tried to bring about a social reformation among the Muslims who had become frustrated, lazy, and politically downtrodden. He started his famous journal Tehzeebul Ikhlaq, through which he called on the Muslims to shed their conservatism. Conservatism means traditional, old fashioned views and move to a higher plan of thinking, both individually and collectively. Only then would they live with dignity and honor. The journal encouraged the Muslims to think creatively and pursue education to improve socially, financially, and spiritually. Learners, now open page number 17. On this page, there is a figure 2.2. You can see a view of the Aligarh University. Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, Aligarh. Reform and revival of Muslims through education was Sir Syed's foremost concern. In 1859, he set up the first educational institution called the Farzi Madrasa at Muradabad. In 1864, a similar madrasa was established at Ghaziabad. However, the most important impact was to be felt through the Scientific Society of Ghazipur, founded in 1867, where works of Western arts and sciences were translated into Urdu. In 1875 came his final and long-lasting achievement, the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College at Aligarh. Sir Syed had visited Britain and studied the working of Oxford and Cambridge universities. He used that experience to establish a college of higher learning for Muslims. At MAO College, Sir Syed combined a residential system of university education. It provided scientific learning in both English and Urdu along with religious instruction. Studies were supplemented with extracurricular activities, moral training, and character building. Independent thinking was encouraged by means of societies and clubs. The Southern Union Club was modeled on the Cambridge Union Society, which trained students in the art of public speaking and leadership. Learners, now turn page number 18. In time, MAO college students came to be recognized for their outstanding qualities. In Sir Auckland Colvin words, it was a passport of the respect of confidence both of Englishmen and Indians. The college became the Aligarh Muslim University in 1920 at some of its alumni. Alumni means former students of a college or university, led the Pakistan movement and provided leadership to the independent state of Pakistan. The next topic is Mohammedan Educational Conference 1886. The Mohammedan Educational Conference, first held at Aligarh in 1886, played an important role in promoting Muslim education by uniting Indian Muslims under one roof to exchange ideas on their future progress. These conferences continued annually till 1945 and were well attended by Muslim educationists and leaders, including Liaquat Ali Khan and others. The aims and objectives of the conference were broadly to monitor the progress of Muslim education across the country, teach European science and literature, translate academic Muslim writings into English, compile the Firemans of Muslim Rule in India into a book, undertake research on modern works, and to introduce religion as a subject in English schools. In conference aimed for the establishment of Islamic high schools in almost every town and city across India. Despite Sir Syed vigorously means strongly, rousing the Muslims to learn English and acquire Western education to compete with the Hindus in jobs and positions. The protection of Urdu was very near to his heart. He supported the progress of Urdu language and literature under Maulvi Abdul Haq, known as Babai Urdu, who had set up the Anjuman Tariq Urdu. Sir Syed sought to bring a change in the writings of his time by making the Urdu language simple and clear. Sir Syed Politics and the Two Nation Theory. The Hindi Urdu Controversy. Controversy means a point of disagreement, argument, and debate. 1867 made Sir Syed revise his views politically. Urdu was a common language for both Hindus and Muslims. He was shocked by the Hindu insistence on Hindi written in the Devanagari script, replacing Urdu as the language of the courts and administration, which he said was a political issue rather than an educational one. He also pointed out the unfairness in the competitive civil service examinations being held in England because Indians would not be able to compete with the English candidates. When Congress came into being in 1885, Sir Syed opposed the India of Muslims joining it on two counts. If the Congress politics caused agitation, then Muslims might against be blamed by the British. Number 2, the Congress favored parliamentary government for India through elections, and Hindus being in majority would benefit at the expense of the Muslim minority. In 1887, Sir Syed clearly asked the Muslims to keep aloof from the Congress as it was primarily an organization looking after the interest of just Hindus. The reaction of the Hindus to Urdu and politics of the Congress brought him to the conclusion that the Hindus and Muslims would always take different paths and not come together. The idea of India having two nations, Hindus and Muslims, was born and grew into Sir Syed's two-nation theory. Sir Syed also had to face the anger, abuse, and even slander from orthodox Muslims for his radical views, and was even called a kafir and non-believers, but with Superman will and faith in his work. He brought about the emancipation. Emancipation means freedom from legal, political, and social restrictions of the Muslims for generations to come. Sir Syed died in 1898 at Aligarh and is buried in the grounds of the university he established. Sir Syed's experiment of combining Western education with religious education was adopted in a different form by other Muslims who wished to safeguard their religious and cultural heritage. These educational institutions were Deoband, Darul Uloom, and Nudwatul Ulama. Let's now turn page number 20. Sindh Madrasatul Islam 1885. In 1885, Hassan Ali Afandi, an eminent lawyer of Sindh, wished to emulate. Emulate means to try to equal or exceed something, someone successful or admired. The educational services that Sir Syed had offered to the Muslim community. He visited MAO College to see for himself how the college functioned and decided to repeat the experiment in Sindh on the same lines. When Sayyid Amir Ali had set up the National Muhammadan Association for the social uplift of the Muslims of India, he too visited Sindh for the same purpose. A branch of the Sindh Muhammadan Association was then set up with Hassan Ali Afandi as its first president with the objective of setting up an educational institution. The institution set up was the Sindh Madrasatul Islam at Karachi in 1885. The site chosen for the school was the Kafila Karwan Sirai, the heart of Karachi, which was no longer in use because of the introduction of railways. The Municipal Committee of Karachi gave the site of Hassan Ali Afandi to set up the madrasa on a British public school pattern, which would impart English education. On 1st September 1885, the Viceroy of India, Lord Dufferin, laid the foundation stone of the Madrasatul Islam school. The principals of the school were British, and its teachers and students were asked to focus on education along with the co-curricular activities taking place in the spare time of the students. The madrasa provided scholarship to deserving Sindhi and other students and was affiliated. Affiliated means associated with the University of Bombay for its matriculation certificate. Let us now open page number 21. Darul Uloom Deoband 1866. In 1866, Darul Uloom Deoband was set up as an educational institution for both traditional and progressive education for Muslims. Deoband, as it came to be called, was a response to the Western education of the British rulers. The curriculum was called Darse-Nizami, but English education was also offered to those students who wished to pursue it. Darul Uloom Deoband expanded its facilities to house various departments of study: law, medicine, religious teaching, calligraphy, and craft. A library, mosque, hostels, kitchens, and administrative blocks. It is situated a few kilometers from Delhi, and its degrees are recognized by the present government in India. Nudwatul Ulama 1898. In 1898, Nudwatul Ulama at Lucknow, following in the footsteps of Aligarh Muslim University, made change in its curriculum to reform the education system followed in the Arabic madrasas. It also brought together the different functions of ulama. Compulsory teaching of English was started in 1905, and Hindi and Sanskrit were also part of the curriculum. Other subjects included philosophy, history, geography, logic, and Arabic language and literature. Learner, on this page there is a picture, figure 2.6. You can see the picture of Darul Uloom Deoband. Learners, do reading carefully, underline the difficult words, learn vocab, and write on loose sheet. Take care. Allah Hafiz.